Hi guys, Tracy here. Welcome to my sewing room. Well, as you can see, I am dressed up today, right? So I'm headed to church this morning. I made this dress with the cap sleeves specifically to go to church. So that's where I'm headed this morning, but I wanted to stop in real quick to get you started on this tutorial. So the dress I did buy, and I bought it on clearance because who doesn't love a sale, right? So but it was, and I'll show you pictures here in a minute, it was sleeveless, bare arms, and it was too long. So I thought to myself, well, you could cut the bottom hem and add a cap sleeve to that. So that's exactly what I did. So, and I want to show you guys how to do it too. Okay, before we get started in the tutorial, I just wanted to show you a really good picture of the before of this dress. As you can see, the bare arms, it's too long. Let's get busy. I can't wait to transform this dress. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is unpick the entire bottom hem of the dress. We need to utilize as much fabric as we possibly can for our cap sleeve. Now just keep picking the hem out of the dress and taking note to be careful not to slice the fabric in any way because we will be utilizing that fabric for our cap sleeve. Okay, here we're going to measure how much we are going to take off the bottom of our dress. Now we've taken the hem out, we've ironed it out, got it nice and flat, and now we're measuring to see how much we have to work with. Now, my mother always told me that her mother always told her, measure twice, cut once, and that will be the rule you'll want to keep here for sure. Now here on my dress, we are going to take off approximately 4 inches. Now that makes it a little tight as far as I'm going to have a small hem and just enough cap sleeve in the end, but you see me here measuring approximately 4 inches all the way around with tailor's chalk, making slashes with the chalk so that will ensure a nice cut all the way around and it'll all be the same length. Okay, it is time to cut. I don't know about you, but every time I go to cut into one of my dresses that I just bought, I get a little nervous and I keep going over in my head, now did I make the right measurement? Because when you make that first cut, there's no going back. Now you'll notice here that I am using my good scissors and not using my rotary cutter. Now the reason for that is this dress was very big and billowy and it was very slippery. And every time I would go to move it a certain way, it would want to shift, and I'm sure you all understand what I mean. Sometimes fabric is just unruly, and just for cutting, this fabric was a bit unruly. Okay, it's almost time to hem the dress and attach those cap sleeves. Okay, so what you see me doing here is serging the very bottom hem of our dress just to make sure that it does not fray. Now don't worry if you don't have a serger. You could always use your regular sewing machine and you could do a zigzag stitch. That would help keep those frayed edges in. Or you could just do a small rolled hem to tuck them in and then do your regular hem on the bottom of the dress. But since I was kind of tight with fabric because I'm actually using the bottom of the hem to do the cap sleeve today, I'm trying to utilize as much fabric square footage as I possibly can. Now what you're going to do is take the serged bottom hem of your dress and you're going to take it over to your ironing board and you're going to lightly put about a 1/4 inch crease there
I mean, that's what I did, but you'll have to do what's best on your dress for your hem, depending on how much fabric you have and whatnot. And I don't have very much fabric toward the end there because I do want it to cover my knee area. So what I'm doing here is just putting about a 1/4 inch, just about as much as what the serger, a little bit more maybe, is. And we're going to press that all the way around the entire dress. For this next step, you need to refer to your manual for your sewing machine on how to do a blind hem stitch. Okay, so here I did refer to my manual because I do forget on which way to maneuver the fabric, because a blind hem stitch is a bit tricky, but you can do it. I know you can. It took me a few times too. So I'm just nice and slowly going through the whole bottom hem with my blind hem foot. I did speed up the footage a little bit to get through it for the video, but you do go nice and slow, because what happens is if you try to go too fast, it doesn't want to catch the two pieces together. And if you're familiar with the blind hem stitch, then you know what I mean. But just go through slowly. I mean, it's not a race, right? So you just want to really take your time on this step because it does come together very nice. As you can see there, the hem, it's invisible.
Okay, this is a very important step. You're going to measure the armhole area as you see me doing it. You're going to measure from the very top to the very bottom, the entire hole opening, okay? You can take the front and you're going to take the back and you're going to add those two numbers together, okay? And then we are going to go to my formula next with that number. Okay, guys. Here's my cap sleeve formula that I used on the dress today. You can use this cap sleeve formula over and over and over again on any garment that you might have where you would need to add a cap sleeve. So the formula goes like this. You measure the total armhole. Mine was 21 inches. You're going to add 1 inch for a seam allowance. My number came to 22 with that 1 inch seam allowance. Then you're going to take and divide that number by 2, which my number is 11, and you're going to draw a line, which I'll show you in the diagram in just a second. Now, we need to find the height of our cap sleeve. Now that's from the shoulder downward or outward. And we're going to take that number 11. Now the height is roughly 1/3 of that number 11. Okay, so 1/3 of 11, I believe, is 3.66. And we are going to round up to 3.75. Now you're going to add 1 inch to 3.75 for the seam allowance, and that takes us to 4.75, and that's how we get our height. But I'll show you how to do all of that in our diagram just ahead.
Okay guys, so let's follow the formula. Let's draw a line 11 inches, and now we are going to find the center. Now we're going to draw a line up 4.75 inches, like in our formula with our measurements. And now you see I do have a French curve there. You don't necessarily need one, but they come in handy. You're going to, just at that very top of that line, just draw like a curved, something that's curved right there, okay? And then we are going to connect our points down to where we first put the 11-inch line. We're going to connect that top to there and there. And we're just smoothing it out right there. And it is a perfect cap sleeve. Okay, so here I'm just going to fold it in half so that we have symmetry. And I'm just going to trim up around to make it all even on both sides. And open it up, and it is ready to go. Now, before we use our template, what we need to do is take our fabric that we cut off the bottom of our dress, or your fabric that you have on hand, and we're going to take that serged edge right there. We are going to iron it up right to where that serge is. It's about 1/4 of an inch or so. We're going to iron that up, and we're going to put a straight stitch all the way across that before we do our template. Okay, now the hem is all done on the edge of our cap sleeve. That will be the part that's showing out toward the edge of the sleeve. And now we are going to take our template and simply fold it in half, fold our fabric in half. It's actually our hem that we cut off of our dress. And we're going to just lay that over there, and as you can see, it doesn't match because I told you in the beginning I was very tight on fabric because of where I cut it. So it's an easy fix though, so don't worry if this happens to you. So what you're going to do is lay the template over just as you see me do, and I kind of push it down and over to get the best cut. Now, because you still want to maintain the whole space, and that's why we pull that out like that. So that's just a little trick for you in order to fix that problem if yours isn't quite, if you don't have quite enough fabric either. So, but it ended up working out in the end. So, and you see here how much we took off. And there I'm just going to trim up the edges just a little bit. And now I'm going to serge the edge so that it's nice. Okay, and here is the serged edge, and we are ready to attach this cap sleeve. Okay, so with a regular stitch, you're going to bring the cap sleeve and your dress over to your sewing machine, and you can see I take that serged edge of the cap, the curved part, and I folded it in half to find the center. And I also find the center of the top of the dress where it is sleeveless. And what I'm going to do is match center to center, as you see me here, and I'm going to overlap those just so the serger part is just on the inside of the sleeveless area. And you can see this as I sew. I lift it up to show you serger edge is just overlap. You're not putting seams together like a traditional way here. You're just laying one on top of the other. Okay? And you're just going to go around with a regular stitch at this point until you get to the other edge. Now, another tip that I use here is I start at the center and go down. And now what you'll see me do is when I get to the end there, I will take out, cut my threads, I will turn it around, and I will start at the center and go down the other way. Now this ensures evenness so that you don't have any puckering. Okay, now I've turned the garment around and we're starting at center and going down the opposite side of the armhole. And I'm just making sure to keep that serged edge underneath and making sure I have a nice straight stitch over top. Now people will be able to see this straight stitch, but it will blend in because of the navy blue of the dress and the thread, and so it won't bring much notice at all. Now when you're done with the first sleeve, go ahead and get started on the other sleeve.